Welcome back to the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide. I'm your Edo Storyteller. In our last episode, we talked about the intense pressure of sneaking past checkpoints and packed the absolute lifelines of your Edo survival kit. The travel permit, the heavy gold coins, and the travel medicines. But survival is only half the journey. Today we are opening up the rest of your Edo period travel bag to talk about your everyday essentials. When you have to carry everything on your own 2 feet, every single item must earn its keep. We are going to look at the ingenious, minimalist, and sometimes completely bizarre things these women carried on the dirt roads. From ancient sunblock and pocket-sized Google Maps to unexpected anti-theft devices, let's dive into the art of Edo pre-trip decluttering. Now that the survival gear is sorted, let's talk about what women cared about most: fashion and saving face. You might think, walking that much every day, there's no need to dress up, right? Wrong. In Edo period travel, people could tell your purpose, profession, and status just by your clothes. For male merchants, they usually wore striped kimonos, specifically a pattern called Santome Jima. To make walking easier, they would hike up the back hem and tuck it into their stiff kabuobi belts to secure it. Santome Jima refers to a high-quality, dirt-resistant cotton fabric characterized by its striped pattern. This fabric was imported to Japan from India at the end of the Muromaji period, and by the late Edo period, when travel became popular, Japan started producing it domestically. Because it was incredibly durable and highly practical, it was deeply loved by all kinds of men, especially traveling merchants. So, what about the women? The core focus of women's travel fashion back then, aside from mobility, was entirely about sun and dust protection. Outfit. They would wear kosode kimonos with simple subdued patterns. Because the roads were full of dirt, they wore a thin dust coat over the outside to stay clean. Footwear, white tabi, split-toe socks, paired with straw sandals tied with red strings. The ultimate sunblock, a massive woven sage hat called a sugegasa, was an absolute must. This didn't just keep the rain off. Most importantly, it prevented heat stroke. Their sun protection was hardcore. They wore teiko to cover their hands and arms, and kyahan to wrap their legs. Everything that could be covered was covered. After all, there was no SPF 50 sunscreen back then, so physical sunblock was the only way to go. Even though they dressed a bit like tea leaf pickers, adult women were still very particular about their grooming. In their minimalist makeup bag, they would definitely have a comb and a jar of binzuke abura, which means hair oil. This wasn't for styling massive hairdos every day on the road, but rather so that when passing through checkpoints or entering large castle towns, they could hire a local hairdresser, which called kamiyui, to help them fix up their appearance. Oh, speaking of clothes, do you know how many changes of clothes travelers brought back then? The answer is almost none. Historical records show that people were very unbothered about changing their underwear on the road. This is also why they all choose dark-colored clothes that hide the dirt. So if you traveled back to the Edo period to travel, you might have to endure wearing unwashed clothes for several days straight. On those endless dirt roads, what else was there to do besides walking? People actually packed a few interesting gadgets for practical use and to kill time. The hipster's essential, Yatate and a diary. This was a portable stationery tool that combined a brush holder with an ink pot. Wherever you walked, if inspiration struck, you could pull it out to write a haiku or a diary entry. Many women's travel records were written down using this exact little tool. A fire starter kit. This included flint, steel, tinder, sulfur-tipped wood shavings, and candles. Why bring this? The traveler's cautions specifically warned that lanterns often blew out, and you might need to start a fire in the wild at any moment. Additionally, people back then believed that tobacco had magical properties to prevent infectious disease. So it seems a lot of people smoked on the road. Pocket-sized Google Maps. What do you do without GPS navigation? No problem. The Edo period had a super developed publishing industry. Before leaving, everyone would buy a travel guidebook. And to make them easy to carry, they were all pocket-sized. Books like the Shokoku Doju Sode Kagami detailed the distance between post stations on the Tokaido and Nakasendo, luggage shipping rates, and sizing information. There was also a foldable map called the Shinpan Tokaido Bunken Eizu. If you were going to Ise Grand Stream, you absolutely had to have the Ise Sangu Meishouzu, which even had illustrations. It was basically an Edo-era travel blog. Finally, let's look at what else was in the traveler's cautions that we modern people find unbelievable as carry-on items. Hemp rope. This was used to tie your luggage to the pillars inside the inn for anti-theft purpose. Clearly, security at the inns was something you had to handle yourself. Inban, which means seal rubbing. You left your actual official stamp at home and brought this rubbing instead. This was used to verify the authenticity of the seal when receiving letters from home during the trip, or as an anti-counterfeiting mechanism when cashing bank drafts. A bamboo walking stick. Because commoners and women were not allowed to carry swords, a sturdy bamboo stick was the best self-defense weapon and hiking pole combined. If you encountered penniless pilgrims, for example, those heading to Ise, their gear was even simpler. A woven straw mat rolled on their back for a bed, a water ladle in their hand to beg for water or receive charity, and their name and destination written on their bamboo hat. That was it. And there you have it, a peek inside the ultimate Edo lady's suitcase. Just imagine stepping out of your house wearing your dirt-resistant kimono, your arms and legs completely wrapped up. and your face shielded by a massive sage hat. You've got a bamboo stick in one hand, your trusty Yatate in your pocket, ready to write your own travel blog, and a piece of hemp rope to tie up your bags at the inn tonight. You are packed light, you are fully equipped, and you are officially ready to conquer the Tokaido. But wait, you don't just finish packing and instantly teleport onto the highway. What actually happens in those crucial, chaotic days right before departure? In our next episode, we are going to look behind the scenes at the real moving day madness of adult women. From taking a luxurious last-minute sightseeing tour to dealing with husbands getting scammed by local merchants, to tearful goodbyes with beloved pets, we'll find out exactly what they were doing before they finally stepped into their paladins. Before we wrap up, I want to specifically let everyone know that the content of every single episode of the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide is the crystallization of my hard work, painstakingly researched by reading a massive amount of specialized books, academic papers, and ancient documents by Japanese scholars. I hope by passing on this knowledge, this history comes alive. If you like the stories I've put together, please subscribe to the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide, leave a 5-star review, and share the show with even more friends. This is the greatest encouragement in the world for an adult storyteller like me. I'm your adult storyteller, and I will see you next time. Bye!